have a little party for her too, that Friday, for this day.
When's that?
We're gonna try. I'm gonna do something at my award ceremony for it too.
Oh, you are? I'd like to have something here for her too. That Friday before she leaves. That's what-
I'd like to call this meeting of the Newberry Township Board of Supervisors to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America,
to the republic for which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
you guys will say that faster than me.
Before we get started to the regular meeting, I just want to make mention that the board had two executive sessions. One was on Sunday, May 23rd at 6 p.m. To discuss litigation matters. The second one was this evening, and that was personnel matters, and that happened at 5:30. With that, I'm going to open the meeting to public comment. Mr. Howe, you're currently recognized.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mike Howe. I live at 355 River Road, York Haven, Pennsylvania, 17370. My first question tonight, gentlemen, folks, is after a zoning hearing and the final decision, how long does it take for the person to start working on the property and finish it? What's the time frame for?
We're still in legal action on that, so we can't discuss that.
How are you in legal action? Could you explain to me what the legal action is?
Is it not my understanding that you're suing the township?
That's a civil suit. That's not a.
We
appeal.
can't discuss it.
But
We cannot discuss it because of the legal action.
I think we told you that last month.
We told you that last month, so
But it says in the ordinances we're 6 months to start and a year to finish.
Well, the pandemic did not put that back alive.
Mr. Huck, the appeal that was originally brought stayed any kind of enforcement action for the township, and that was brought by the neighbors. There is since then additional litigation which relates to the same claims and the same set of facts to some extent, and my advice to the board has been repeatedly that that should not be discussed in public meetings, or discussed without counsel present for those matters, because it is pending litigation in federal court.
Okay. One thing I'd like to address though is, the zoning hearing board got a lot of things wrong. So the first thing is, they have in the docket that we're a rural resource. It's not a rural resource area, gentlemen, it's a residential holding. Is that,
Mr. Howe, I'd like to interject one moment.
Yes,
With
sir.
respect to Ms. Kaufman, I would prefer that you do not just regard us as gentlemen. Ms. Kaufman is also a board member, and I'd expect that you afford her the same respect.
Okay. Next thing I'd like to discuss is I see you have it on the docket about the brake retarders, and bringing up about possibly that, maybe like we should do with other townships, like other townships have done, and ban them totally in the municipality everywhere. I know Cuddawalla Township has that, because, they are pretty, I mean, the whole area from Newbury Town down to PP&L is a residential zone, and, they start trucks start traveling at like 5:30 in the morning, and keep on going until about noon time. They're pretty heavy, and it's kind of annoying with noises and everything coming from that. But, something to look at is ban them totally in the township and not just on that road alone. Okay?
All right, Mr. Howe, your comments noted. Thank you. This time, Mr. Roger Bruner.
My name's Roger Brenner. I live at 701 Capitol Road, lot 124, Manchester, PA. The reason I came here tonight is there's not a neighbor that's across from me. And last year, I bought a riding mower. Very rarely does he ever mow his lawn with it. He takes his 3-year-old grandson, sits him on his lap, and goes out and rides all over the neighborhood. A couple weeks ago, when he left, I was at the mailbox to get my mail. He came out through, went parking on the Castle Road, and almost got hit by a pickup truck. Well, when he came back in, the guy got out of the truck, and they started arguing, but I had to go to the doctor's appointment, I know what happened there. So other neighbors around there have expressed their concerns and their his disappointment towards this man because he does this on a frequent basis, and it's like, I don't think he realizes he's a danger to public safety around there, and also he's a nuisance to the neighborhood when he does it. Now, I've been to the police department a couple of times about it. They won't do nothing about it. I contacted the people that manage mobile home park. They hang up on me. They won't do nothing about it. They called children's services 3 different times. They won't do nothing until something happens to that kid. And I think that's a fault. Now, I like to see some kind of ordinance passed in this township. I got a picture of him right here doing it. To put a stop to this.
Can I see that from Mr. Bruner?
I took out last summer, when I was on the side of the bridge. A friend of mine.
No, is this, I apologize, is this him out on the road? Is this a picture of him out on the road?
He's coming across my yard.
Oh, coming across your property?
Yeah, well,
Okay.
we rent the land, but he's coming across my yard.
Okay.
Now, a friend of mine who's a police officer in another town came to visit me one day, here a while back. He was out on the road with that kid, and he wouldn't get out of the way. So Dan pulled up beside him and asked him what he was doing, and showed him the bird. There's something wrong there.
Okay.
I think there should be an order for somebody should do something about this man, put a stop to it, because at one time I was in the fire department many years ago. There was an incident that we arrived on a scene where a man had a long tractor with a little flag on the back, holding 3 kids. Car came around, hit them, killed all 3 of the kids. The little boy was on his dad's lap. He died later on in the hospital, and then was in a coma. That probably could have been prevented, and it wasn't.
I understand your concern, and it is a legitimate concern.
But he's probably doing it right now as I'm standing here, because when I left a while ago, he had that tractor fired up.
Mr. Bruner, is there any way that you could get a photograph to our police department that shows him in violation out on the roadway with, or,
Well, sure, I can take pictures with my camera phone.
if you would, you say you did approach our police department and receive no,
Last year.
do you remember who you spoke with, sir?
Not really, no.
Unfortunately, the roads in mobile home parks are not township roads.
I understand that.
But if you would notify our police department when he's on Castle Road, at that point, they can do something.
Right, but what I'm saying is, he is a danger to public safety around there, because even some of the other people that live there, you know, like, I can't tell you how many times I've heard them, you know, like, come to me and tell me, you know, well, I'm not gonna repeat what they said. There's one man that lives up there that told me, here a few months ago, if he tapped in and punched him right in the face.
Well, then the police department will be involved. Marcus, is there anything in our codes that can stop that?
Down here is, I think there should be an ordinance
I have
passed.
to check, but
We can check, well, Mr. Bruner, we will check on the ordinance and see what we can do from the township level.
I'll give you my address and my.
Can we do any ordinance for private property?
No, we can't.
No, but I'd like to see if there's anything that we can do in our capacity as the Board of Supervisors. I understand your concern, and is it primarily because of the children being on the mower, or is it because of the homeowner being out on the street with his mower?
Well, yeah, being on those roadways without mower.
He's not mowing grass as he says.
No.
Okay.
He has a small property. Where I live, I have an over a quarter of an acre. I have a side yard with a lot. I mow my property. He very rarely uses that.
And you say that the park owner has refused to take any action on it?
And somebody I talked to the district attorney's office about it, that was at my, visit me, told me that if something does happen, they could be held just as responsible.
How about if we contacted the park itself?
We could certainly try to do that, but, and we certainly will try to remedy that situation. Unfortunately, we also do have an issue because it is a privately owned property.
Too bad it's not.
I understand that. I sympathize with you.
If I catch a picture of him going out on the road, I'll.
If you can get him on Castle Road, then our police department can get involved. I mean, but as long as he's in the trailer court, that's private
Is he
property.
going up and down
and-
Castle Road?
Huh?
Is he going up and down Castle Road?
No, what he does is when he leaves, he goes out and does a U-turn. He goes, parks on the Council Road and comes
Swings
back
around.
in,
Okay.
and he doesn't watch what he's doing. But like I said here a while back, a truck came around the corner, almost ran into him, and they got into it.
Well, if you could leave us some information that we could at least reach out to the folks that own the park, we'll try to do our best to help remedy the situation, and we do appreciate you taking the time to bring this to us.
Now, does he go on your property on a,
He comes across the yard, yeah, he'll cut, there's a bridge right there, a little wooden bridge. He'll cut across the yard and go straight down, there's like a little part, and then come back out through and come back around.
Okay.
And last year, one time, I went out and said, hey, Bob, I said, you know, like, you really shouldn't be going back there like that. I said, that is an old bridge. I said, plus, you're killing the grass over here.
So he's using it as a source of transportation, basically, to go
Yeah.
visit friends. Okay.
so you have the right to put no trespassing signs up,
Yeah, I know.
so that would be an
That's why I
option.
do that, you know?
Yeah, Mr. Brunner, just, if you can leave us some contact information for those folks, and we'll certainly be glad to take a look at it on your behalf.
And like I said, I saw that incident that time when those kids were killed. That was horrible,
Okay.
you know? You got something I can write?
Yeah, we have a piece of paper.
Marcus got something.
Just see our codes enforcement officer there, you can give him the contact information. So next up, we have Bill Rowetter. I'm sorry if I didn't pronounce it correctly. Rowetter.
It's a hard one.
Welcome.
Thank you. So I'm just here, hope I'm doing it the right way. We have chickens on our property, and we have.
Excuse me, sir, can you say your name and address, please?
Oh, sure.
for the-
First name Bill, last name Rowetter, 1125 Yosemite Road.
Thank you.
So, we've had them since we got the property in 2013. Back then, there was no zoning for it, or zoning was against it. But the codes enforcement officer at the time said he didn't care, didn't enforce that rule.
Okay.
So we had them, and now there is zoning for it.
Correct.
And Marcus came out and visited us for that. Don't mind getting the permit and stuff, but our family size and the size of our lot and everything, we're looking for more than 6 if possible. We don't use it for a business, just for a personal. We have 6 kids plus my mother-in-law.
Okay.
So,
How many are you looking for?
20.
20?
Is this
And
in
we
Yo,
have about an acre of land.
is this in Yoakumtown?
Yeah.
Okay, I remember seeing it. Okay.
Marcus,
Yeah.
would you care to elaborate on what the ordinance states regarding the size of the parcel of property and the amount of livestock or poultry?
Yeah, I believe the, property size, if I'm not mistaken, is like a half acre.
That's .93.
Okay, so it's almost an acre. And, like I said, I received a complaint, about the chickens, about the number of chickens.
Okay.
So, and I discussed it with, Doug Myers, and he suggested that if, because we don't have any type of, appeal process,
Mhm.
to come, give them the suggestion of coming here asking for a variant, or like, changing the ordinance
waiver.
to allow like hardship, or, you know, something of that nature.
Mr. Rowetter, how many chickens do you currently have on property?
Somewhere around 20.
So, and is this a fenced-in yard, or is this an open property?
So it's in the side yard, and we have a 50 by 50 foot fenced area. It's also
So
our garden. So
is
they share
permitted
our
6?
garden.
Is it 6?
Is there a formula that allows how many are permitted on a certain parcel of property?
No, it's just up to 6 hens.
Up to 6, and that's regardless of the size of the property? Is that what I'm
Correct.
taking from this?
And you don't have any
It's-
roosters,
I
just
mean,
hens?
unless you,
No, just grass.
agricultural,
Okay.
you have up to 10 acres, and then that changes.
If I could, Mr. Chairman,
Livestock.
the ordinance states minimum of half acre, so you have to have a half acre and a maximum of 6 chickens. I believe that's how the
Okay.
ordinance is written.
So this would be something that you would be seeking a waiver on to allow for the additional. I mean, I appreciate you coming to the board and trying to do things, you know, properly according to the ordinance and obtaining the permit. I do commend you for that. The caveat that we have is if we make a variance for one property, ultimately, I don't know how many other properties that we have in the township that would permit raising of poultry.
Right.
You know, we.
Depends if they're doing it for business too or not. We're not.
Right, but we have to be cognizant of the neighbors as well. I mean, there's always that issue of being a good neighbor. And how long have you had those chickens on the property?
Since 2013.
So you've had 20 chickens on that property since 2013. Has there been any problems with the other neighbors, any complaints?
No.
Okay. just
Well, what was the complaint, the recent complaint?
I don't know.
The recent complaint, I'm sorry, the recent complaint was that the chickens were making way too much noise. And that he was well over the 6 chickens.
Is that when he had the rooster? You had a rooster the one time, didn't you?
More than a year ago we did.
Yeah, I
And we
mean-
got rid of the roosters. The hens don't make that much noise.
Yeah, I have
Not
chickens
near
too.
as
They-
much as the Open Town Road makes.
Yeah, I have chickens too, they don't make so much noise.
Mr.
Roosters.
Roweeder, I really don't want to be insensitive to your issue, and I also don't want to make a hip shot decision on this. I'd like to have the board have an opportunity to talk about this a little bit further. In the meantime, if you're willing to go ahead and get the permit, I encourage you to go ahead and do that and give us an opportunity to see what we can do to find, some type of.
How many people's in your family?
We have 6 kids, my wife, myself, and my mother-in-law.
Wow.
Now, those 20 chickens, are you raising them for sale of eggs, or are you using them for personal
Personal
purposes?
purposes.
Okay.
We eat the eggs.
Okay.
And so, in the summer, you can be pretty good on eggs, but through the winter, they only lay every 3 or 4 days.
Yeah.
And so, 6 chickens just doesn't give you, we eat 16 eggs in one sitting,
Okay.
so.
Mr. Rowe, we will definitely get back to you on this. In the meantime, like I said, I would encourage you, just go ahead and get the permit, and I do appreciate you being honest and coming to this board, and we will work with you to try to get this issue resolved.
Okay, and during that process, it'll be okay to keep the number I
For the
have
time
while I
being,
get the
yes.
permit?
Yes, for the time being, that's fine.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Is this Carrie or Carl Lawman? Lawman?
Carrie.
Carrie?
Go ahead, yeah, not hurting nothing.
So my name is Carrie Lawman, this is Jesse Lawman, and this is Sabrina Lawman. We're all from 895 Valley Green Road, Edwards, Pennsylvania, 17319. And we want to discuss it's the 800 block of Valley Green Road. That's the little area where first part of it's paved and then it goes into the gravel road. It's the opposite side of the golf course and everything.
Okay.
We do live there all together. They have a couple of kids. We have had an issue. I've lived there since 2016, and all of a sudden it's become a race course, I think. We have an exponential growth in commercial traffic. We have had a lot of people that just fly through that area where I do appreciate that they put up a sign about the kids, but we've noticed that there's no speed limit signs on either portion of that roadway.
Okay.
And I think people think it's a free-for-all. It's kind of ironic that Officer Diddy's here. When he was out there talking to us one day, he literally saw people run the stop signs there. He almost got hit as he was crossing the roadway. Somebody almost hit his vehicle. It's become where we do on both sides of the roadway, and it's just become where it can be.
Hazardous at times to even cross over to our other property.
So you say there's currently no visible speed limit sign posted in that area?
No.
There is one roadway sign, or aside from the stop signs on either end,
Okay.
there's one roadway sign that says, children at play.
Is there an established speed limit there? Are you aware of?
Not that I know of, and part of the
35.
issue.
What is it?
35.
35.
Wow,
Wow.
there you go.
30,
Chief, is
30,
there-
35 on a rural road is 35 mile an hour.
So, Ms. Lawman, have you had any conversations other than with Officer Diddy regarding some speed enforcement?
I did,
Well, we've offered the other side of our property for the police department to come out
Okay.
and sit, so that they can see how fast people are going down our road.
Now, is there a typical time of day? Is it evenings, or does this happen all throughout the day?
It's all throughout the day, all throughout the night.
Okay.
honestly, we almost feel, and this is in no disrespect to the police department, we feel like that people are using that as a bypass to stay off of Yoakum. Like, people are using that road to stay away from the police.
Okay.
I mean, that's
I understand.
our thought.
Yeah.
I know that, I had someone that they actually, the police officers talked to, I don't remember which police officer it was, but it was a young kid that, he tried to drift.
Okay.
He tried to drift around that blind curve and thought it was,
Okay.
and doesn't people don't realize that's a blind curve. We even have Penn Waste literally backs up. They start, in reverse at the corner of, at the four-way there, the corner of Yoakumtown and Valley Green, and backs all the way up to the Conway Farm.
No.
Instead
Okay.
of going forward.
We've reached out to Penn Waste, we've reached out to the police department, and they.
Chief, is there any way we
Penn
can run
Waste
some
said that
speed?
they would speak with their driver, but she's still is backing on the road.
We
She
could do some
likes to
enforcement.
show me
that
the,
their property's at the
sign
intersection,
whenever.
so.
No,
we walk out whenever.
Speed,
Yeah.
like, they'd have to blow the stop sign.
Okay. Can we at least get some calculations as far as what,
We'll put the speed board sign up.
We can put a post in where you want it.
Yeah, he'll drop a post. We'll put
So
the
what
speed
will-
board sign.
And he, you're
that is the chief.
He's the road
the
crew.
road,
Oh, okay.
He was the one that suggested we kind of come here and discuss
Yeah.
with you guys what options. I mean, because like right now, the road is in horrible condition. I know that they are going to, I mean, honestly, I told him I would rather see it not maintained.
Right.
Because maybe that'll.
Keep the speed down. I get it, yeah.
What
What we'll
Is there
do,
a way we could get a speed bump? Is there a way we could, actually, what we would request, is, along with the Conley family, is that, if we make it not for through traffic, no through traffic signs there, because it is not a thoroughfare. I mean, that roadway, it would take a lot of money and a lot of work to bring that up to MUTCD standards. Most of the roadway is not even 10 foot, there's sections that are not full 10 width.
well, what we're gonna do, Ms. Lohman, the chief and I, we just had a brief conversation, not to disrespect you, and I was turning my back to you, but we're gonna go ahead and at least put the signboards up, because what they do is that they'll give us a printout of the date and time. It's a timestamp to let us know, if there was a speeding violation, what that speed was, the time that it occurred, so we can at least begin the process of taking a look and seeing where the problem is and how bad that problem truly is. So we'll work on that and get that done for you.
Well, I think when we were kids, that road was very little used.
Well, now,
And now we have all the
there's developments.
The developments
on the
back
other
there
end.
really put all the traffic on there.
Yeah, the developments in Fairview Township, a lot of
Yeah.
people are using that as a shortcut to get over rather
Correct.
than going out.
Go to
I
Walmart,
honestly should
whatever.
discuss with him also our runoff problem that, from Yoakumtown, it's crazy that, so the drainage on Yoakumtown, they didn't require, one of the driveways to put a tile in. So literally, their driveway blocks the middle of Yoakumtown's drainage, and it diverts it directly to our property, which is downhill.
That you'd have to go to PennDOT
Right,
for.
yeah, and we're working on that too, but, I think it's really the developments, and like I said, the commercial traffic is unbelievable now.
Well, thank you for bringing this to the board, and we will do what we can do to make sure we can try to get this curbed for you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. We have any other public comments? So at this time, I'm gonna seek approval for the Board of Supervisors monthly meeting, April 21st, 2021. I have a motion to approve.
I'll make that motion.
And do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Oh, did I say 21?
Yeah.
Okay. I may have made it, was it April 27th? Is that what, does everyone hear me say it? Okay. All right, so we're moving on to reports. Chief of Police.
Evening, board.
Good evening, Chief.
Our department handled 1,093 calls for the month of April. Listing those calls right here, we have 3 burglaries, 10 thefts, 2 motor vehicle thefts, 4 drug offenses, 11 DUIs, 7 sexual assaults, 1 sexual assault, 2 domestic related harassments, 6 other harassments, and 18 other offenses. Additionally, the officers responded to and investigated 1,029 calls for service, including 12 domestic related incidents, 20 traffic accidents. They issued 87 traffic citations, 98 warnings, 7 non-traffic citations, and made 31 misdemeanor and accident that involved a train. Involved on a block of Fly Road. It was brought to our attention yesterday morning that that individual had passed.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Nope, I think that's it. Do you have anything else you want to add?
Yes, sir.
Do we want to make a motion on these two guys?
We're getting to that.
Okay.
I could have George Strickler and Matthew Warner sit down here, please. Standing beside me is Matthew Warner and George Strickler. They are two individuals in which we conducted a long search for applicants. Out of those applicants, these two rose to the top, which is a background investigation, and I'm placing them in front of you tonight for board approval to hire.
Okay. So I'd like to make a motion to approve Zach Werner and Jordan Strickler. Do I have a second on that motion?
I'll second that.
We'll both second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Congratulations, gentlemen. Welcome to the Newbury Township Police Department.
No.
Chief, you also furnished us with a letter this evening regarding Nicole Weibel. I understand that Ms. Weibel has tendered her resignation as she's secured employment with another employer. Is there anything you'd like to add to that letter regarding her service?
Nothing other than that, Ms. Weibel was a valuable employee. She's leaving the agency not because of anything that occurred at the agency or within the township. Ms. Weibel's been taking nursing classes for the last 2.5, 3 years. I'm not quite sure on the time frame. She's currently doing clinicals, which is part of the nursing curriculum. And to follow her dream of being a nurse.
Okay.
She was offered a job on the floor in which she wishes to, once she receives her nursing degree, to hopefully end up on. And she believes it might be a gateway in order to secure that job once she receives a nursing degree. So therefore, she needs to pursue her career, and she's sad, but she had to give her degree. So therefore, we have put application out on our website as well as Indeed, and we're accepting applications currently, I believe, until June 1st. Is that correct, Lieutenant?
Yes, sir, Chief.
Okay. All right. Well, I'd certainly like to thank her for her years of service here with the township. Unfortunately, I understand that, she has to pursue her dreams as well. At this time, I'd like to make a motion to accept Ms. Weibel's resignation, and I'm looking for a second.
I'll second that.
And all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? And the ayes have it. Thank you, Chief, for your report. Fire and EMS report.
I don't have anything to add.
Mr. Kirkpatrick, do you have anything to add to that report?
Do you have anything to add? You don't have anything to add? Okay, under the fire EMS report, I'll bring this up now. We got together and had some training, I forget the date. The 3 fire departments went to the sewer plant. Thank Brent. He did a great job on showing us around.
Okay.
All 3 fire departments are now working on some more joint training. They've shared their training schedules with each other and invited each other to their trainings at each other's departments. So at this time, I'd like to make a motion that the township give the fire department wants to have state certified training for vehicle. Is it just vehicle or is it all? For vehicle rescue. This would update the people that already had it, recertify them, and get some new ones on board. This would cost $1,100. So I'd like to make a motion that we give the $1,100 to the fire department to do that.
And that's for all three? That would
That's
encompass
for all three departments, yes.
Okay. I'll second that motion. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed?
Yes, I'm an aye.
All right, ayes have it. Thank you very much. We're going to move on to the solicitor's report. Mr. Miller?
I want to make the board aware that, and it's stated in the report, that we did submit the zoning and Saldo ordinance amendments for the RCO district and the fire hydrants to the York County Planning Commission, the Township Planning Commission, and unless there's any change from the board, we'll proceed to advertise that for a public hearing and schedule a public hearing for 5:30 PM on June 22nd on that ordinance. The remainder of the items in my report are either elsewhere on the agenda or spelled out for the board, and we'll just take any questions if there's any.
Anyone have any questions of the solicitor? So you're seeking a motion to, Andrew, would you rephrase that for me, please?
If we could just have a motion to authorize us to advertise the proposed zoning ordinance amendments and Saldo amendments for a public hearing at 5:30 PM on June 22nd.
I'll make that motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have
While
it.
we're here with Andy talking about things, do we have any avenue of people that make false claims against other people, and knowing they're making false claims, and we spend money, people spend the time to send people out there and they charge us? Do we have any recourse in charging them for what happens?
Are you talking about for like investigations, like
Correct.
zoning investigations and things like that? Well, they certainly can't be making, they are making false reports to township officials to precipitate that. I would have to look at whether or not there's nothing in the ordinances that give you that kind of relief or civil right to that. I would have to look if there's any kind of if the criminal statutes that make it a summary offense or a misdemeanor to make false reports to the police, if those apply in any way to township officials, to the zoning officer. That would be the only way. The ordinances currently don't provide for that. One of the things that we are doing in the codification is updating all of those ordinances to make sure that enforcement actions can recoup attorney's fees, but that still wouldn't be against someone who makes the report or files a complaint necessarily.
Gotcha.
Is there any other questions of our solicitor? And if there is no other questions, the engineer.
I have nothing further to add to my report.
Okay. Do we have any questions for our engineer regarding the report, anything contained in the report? I notice you're currently working with the township manager for a grant application. Have you completed that?
That's under new business.
Okay, all right, we'll reserve that for that. Any other questions for our engineer? If there is none, our EMA report, is our EMA director here?
He is not.
Okay, nothing more in his report. Highway,
I have nothing to add.
okay.
Anything on Pendleton Road yet?
No, but that's on my list of to-dos to do. I'm getting closer to getting there.
Okay. And what about the, what was the other road?
Are you talking about the one?
Paul.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, he's on my list to go talk to this week to get where we're putting the inlet in the pipe.
Oh, gotcha, okay,
So,
okay. So we have it all cleared up with Tiffany with the Paddletown Church Road? Okay.
supposedly, yeah, we have the letter
Yeah.
to do the work that we wanna do, so.
Correct, we get
Okay.
approval, okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Mr. Bryant, that brings us to you, our zoning officer. Do you have anything to add to your report? Okay. Does anyone have any questions of Mr. Bryant? And there is none?
Nope.
Sewer?
I have nothing to add.
Okay, I understand we got a report late, but it's fine. Manager Tony Miller.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, I had some late additions that you have in front of you. A couple of items that didn't make my report last Friday. Number one, requesting a motion. First of all, everybody got an email from our solicitor, Mr. Miller, concerning the Senate Bill 552 that will provide an avenue to petition State Open Records Office for relief from a requester that the agency alleges is a vexatious requester.
I'll make that motion.
The motion is for me to contact the Senator Gephardt
Um,
and tell him that we support that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Then,
And the stream just stopped.
Sorry, folks, we've had some glitches with this system. We're still trying to work it out, but we'll bring the meeting back up as soon as we get our video streaming, just for the sake of the public having an opportunity to see what's going on here.
Let me just ask, Senator Gephardt isn't senator yet. Not until November, is that right?
No, he's now.
They put him in?
Yeah,
When-
he's,
Special election.
It's
I
an
did-
unfilled, yeah, it was an unfilled.
Yeah, I understand that, but he had
he
to run
he
for
won't
the
be on the
seat.
ballot in November, that's
Yeah.
done.
I mean, it was voted in for the
I'm
Republican
just
Party,
asking for,
and the other part was, the Democrat was voted in for their part,
so he's still sitting there, okay, good.
so he's still there.
I
He-
should know better.
He won over the Democrat.